What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you my second Ultra Prism deck, and that is one centered around the combination of Metagross and Dusk main Necrozma-GX with a combination of Dialga-GX, a single copy, and of course a single copy of Solgaleo Prism. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. Helps us out a lot and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And also, if you are new to the channel, please consider joining our Discord. It will be linked in the description. Here at TTM, we are a collaboration channel where obviously we have TCG, which is why you're viewing this video, but we also have draft format with 3 different teams. The Kansas City Giraffe Chiefs with TTM Jolt, who is currently in the GBA and doing very well, I might add. But we also have Danza and myself who compete in Draft League format as well, and occasionally we will do some Smogon, but really not as much. But if you are interested in the draft format at all and came across this channel because of this TCG video, then please consider subscribing and also join our Discord where we have multiple channels for TCG, draft format, Smogon, and other things. So yeah, that will be in the description. And as for the question of the day, now that Ultra Prism has been out for a week and you've had a chance to play around and try different things, what is your favorite new deck from Ultra Prism? Honestly, I would have to say it's the deck that I am bringing you right now, because I've always kind of liked Metagross. Like, I liked it from the beginning. It was a very fun card to use. It was very bulky and was kind of the ultimate comeback. Like, you gave up a couple prizes early, but then once you got going, your opponent would really have trouble keeping up and finishing you off, as you just had a bunch of bulky attackers. And so now that we have more things to combine Metagross with, the fact that Metagross could not really take big Okos, like it would be able to hit for 180, which don't get me wrong is amazing, but it would just fail to take big one-hit knockouts on a lot of stuff. With the combination of Dusk main Necrozma, and even just Dialga to a lesser extent, you're able to take big one-hit KOs, like hit for a ton of damage on one turn, which is something that Metagross will benefit from greatly. And so yeah, that is my favorite deck from Ultra Prism that I've been playing with, but there are a couple others that I've been having fun with as well. So yeah, let me know what your favorite Ultra Prism deck is in the comment section down below, and why. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts and experiences are with this current format. But anyway, onto the deck. Like I said, it is centered around the combination of Metagross-GX and Dusk main Necrozma-GX. And both of these guys, like, I was really excited when Dusk main Necrozma came out, because it was a metal Pokemon. And first of all, metal is very powerful right now. It even has the stadium. I forgot what the stadium is called, but you're able to get metal energy from the discard pile, so you combine that with the new Magnezone with Magnetic Circuit that's able to attach as many metal energy from your hand per turn as you like. That's very strong. But with this one, I was going for more of a discard pile style with both Metagross and Prism Solgaleo. So that's kind of what this is more geared toward, and it's actually had a pretty decent amount of success in the time that I've been testing it. But again, my testing is like maybe a couple hours total because of time constraints, and also the fact that the set has only been out a week. It's just been kind of like, well, I've played with it a little bit and it doesn't stink, so let's go with it. But as for the Pokemon we're combining with it, obviously we have Metagross and Dusk main Solgaleo GX for the big one-hit knockouts. And also Dusk main Solgaleo is actually very bulky. 190 for a basic attacker is nuts. And then Claw Slash 3 for 60, really not something you want to do if you can. But Meteor Tempest for 4 energy. So if you have 3 Metagross in play, you're able to attach 3 energy and then attach 1 from your hand, and then discard 3 energy from this Pokemon to be able to hit for 220, 250 with a Choice Band. That takes knockouts on everything except for like Choice or Fighting Fury Belt Wishy-Washy, but even that might as well. So I mean, Meteor Tempest is the big one-hit knockouts that this deck has been looking for. And then also Sun's Eclipse GX for 3 metal. It does 250, and you can only use it if you're down. But considering the deck we're using it in, Metagross takes a while to get set up, so your opponent is probably going to take a prize off of at least a Alolan Vulpix, if not a Beldum or two, while you're getting set up. And so you'll be able to Sun's Eclipse GX as soon as you're able to attack, so that is pretty awesome. And then other cards that we are combining it with: PRISM Solgaleo with Radiant Star. For each of your opponent's Pokemon in play, attach a Metal Energy card from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. That is exactly why we are using this guy, to be able to just have kind of a better geotech system. Because, I mean, geotech system you can attach from the discard pile, but it's only to the active. And if you have a ton of energy in the discard pile that you just kind of want to put on a bunch of your different mons, and if your opponent has a loaded board, you can kind of turn things around by, in one turn, taking a Solgaleo Prism and attaching a bunch of energy to, like, your benched Metagross, your Dialga, or your Necrozma. It's just a very... it's a floodgate type of card. Like, you're able to just immediately get a ton of things powered up. And also it's nice because it gives this deck a way to play around Safeguard, and I think it's Aurora Veil Ninetales is what it's called, where EXs and GXs cannot attack it. This Solgaleo gives you a way around those, which is really, really nice. But you have to be careful with it, because as soon as it goes to the discard pile, it goes to the lost zone, meaning you are not getting this thing back. So you have to be careful, but it does give you outs and is not a detriment in the least. Like, you're not sacrificing anything by playing this card. In fact, you are gaining a ton from playing this card. It just so happens that you get another added bonus of being able to defeat these Safeguard mons. And then also, this is one card that I wanted to try out, so I threw in this deck, but I think, like, if you decide to try to use this deck competitively, this would be the first thing you remove, is Dialga-GX with 180 HP. So, I mean, it's pretty solidly bulky. And the only reason you really use it is, well, first of all, Shred is actually very nice because it hits through Safeguard and Aurora Veil Ninetales anyway. So, I mean, that's one nice thing about it. Like, you can use that to try to get through if you decide to go a Dialga route, and if you don't have a Solgaleo Prism, Dialga is a nice way of being able to do that. But, I mean, again, you already have the Solgaleo Prism for being able to get past those Safeguard mons. But Timeless GX was something that I really wanted to try. You basically hit for 150, and then you take another turn, which really can just end games. Like, if you're in an end stage of a game, you have 5 energy on Dialga, you use Timeless GX, take a knockout on something, take a couple prizes, and it's immediately your turn after. So that's something that I wanted to really play with and see how that does, but I decided that, you know what, it's at best a one of, and even so, if you were to use this deck competitively, I'd probably get rid of Dialga, as it's 5 energy to get to use the GX attack, and then once you use the GX attack, or if you can't use the GX attack, it's kind of dead weight, and also it has the 3 retreat cost, which is not something you want to deal with. As for the numbers of mon, I'm going to start speeding up because I realized I've been talking forever. We have 434 of Beldum through Metagross, just so you can try to, as quickly and consistently, get a ton of Metagross set up and get as many as possible, because this is what makes the deck go with Giga Hammer and Geotech system. 2 of the Duskmane Necrozma, because, again, Metagross is the main attacker, but Duskmane having a couple of those in the back, able to take big knockouts when you need them, is definitely nice. A single Solgaleo Prism, because, I mean, you can only run 1. I would actually run 2 if I could, but nope, that's not how this works. 2 Tapu Lele in order to get supporters out. 2 Vulpix to start off and Beacon to try to get your Metagross set up as quickly as possible. And then as for the items, 2 Field Blower to get rid of items. Well, get rid of items and stadiums. We don't run any counter stadiums, because, I mean, this wasn't really a lot of room in this deck, and then also you like having Metal Energy in the discard pile for both Solgaleo Prism and Metagross, so you really don't want to be able to get those back into your hand necessarily, or it's not as big of a benefit as, say, another card. So we have 2 of those also to shut off Garbotoxin, which sucks for us. 2 Max Potion in order to make Metagross even more difficult to kill. 3 Rare Candy to go straight from Beldum into Metagross. 2 Rescue Stretcher to recur Pokemon. 4 Ultra Ball to guarantee get what we want when we want. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention that Glaceon does give this deck a hard time, but that's another place where Solgaleo Prism comes into play. You can go ahead and Radiant Star once they get, like, if they're able to get a Glaceon out, and then that's a way of powering up your mons without having to use your abilities like Geotech systems. It's just another way to get around Glaceon and then knock it out with super effective damage, which would otherwise give this deck a pretty hard time. For the supporters, still having trouble figuring out exactly what type of line of, like, Sycamore, N, and Cynthia I want to run, just because, I mean, they're all really good draw supporters. for now, I'm trying the 3-3-4 because with this deck, you don't like discarding a lot of stuff. But again, Sycamore is unparalleled in its ability to get you 7 fresh cards. And especially at the end of the game, if you get a Sycamore, like that's off an end, that is phenomenal. So I'm trying 3-3-4 just with this deck, see how that works out. 3 Guzma for the switching and then the catching effect. And then 1 Brigette because Lele into Brigette is the best start this deck could hope for. I thought of using 2, like maybe cut another Sycamore for a Brigette, but at the same time, like I like having a lot of draw support. I mean, basically it's just me being paranoid about not having enough draw support. So that's why there's only 1 Brigette, 2 Choice Band to boost our damage output, 2 Float Stone to get free retreat, because I know there wasn't a lot of Float Stones in the original Metagross deck, but that's because Beldum and Vulpix and Tapu Lele only had 1 retreat cost apiece. However, now that you're building up things, or you're putting in things like Dialga, Ultra Necrozma, and Solgaleo, they all have pretty beefy retreat costs, so you want to be able to get those things out of there if you start with them and into a Vulpix. And then 10 Metal Energy, just have a bunch so that you can discard them, but also have them when you need them. So yeah, that's the team, or that's the deck, sorry. I've been playing too much draft format recently. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Shotgun Aces with a Fighting Dark and Psychic deck. So, honestly, I have no idea what we're up against. I mean, the Dark means it's probably Zoroark of some sort, because Zoroark kind of sort of does run this meta. And we're even giving our opponent an extra card, so that's actually, wait, they mulligan, so that's nice for us. And we start off with, not gonna lie, a hand that we can really work with. I mean, we're gonna end up going second, which is unfortunate, and there's Lycanroc. Okay, so this is a Zoroark Lycanroc deck, which is going to be very, very interesting because Bloodthirsty Eyes, with the amount of heavy retreat cost Pokemon that I am running, that could lead to some interesting situations, meaning that I'll have to keep myself from being in a position where I can just have something brought up and then be stalled out. So that's going to be very... that's going to be something I have to keep an eye on. My opponent is immediately going to Ultra Ball, probably get a Lele into a Brigette, which is, I mean, that's the best start for my opponent's deck too, so, I mean, that's the start you go with. Luckily, he will not end me, or probably will not end me, at least I'm hoping he won't end me, because this hand is something that I can definitely work with. And yes, he does get a Brigette, which will be very nice for him, but also means that I will be able to Lele into a Brigette of my own. And I have to be careful about my Tapu Lele, because that thing will be potentially a liability later in the game, with Lycanroc being able to Bloodthirsty Eyes that thing up and it not being something that I can necessarily just deal with. So luckily, I do have Brigette in the deck. It is not prized. That is very, very nice. We would have been in a horrible spot if I wasn't. But let's go ahead and grab 2 Beldum and a Vulpix. I'm not really looking through my deck too much at this time because my Beacon will give me a chance to do that as well, just to see what type of mons there are. So 1 Metang is prized, and I have 3 Metagross. Well, I have 4 Metagross to work with because of the 1 in my hand. So if I can top deck a Rare Candy, that would be phenomenal for me. But unfortunately, if my opponent is able to, well, there's the Zoroark. Does he have the Bloodthirsty Eyes plus the DCE? There's the DCE. If he has Bloodthirsty Eyes into Lele or a Beldum. Actually, if he just starts knocking out my Beldums, this is going to be very, very bad for me. So what I'm going to do is let's promote... Well, I mean, I'm obviously going to promote a Beldum, but it was just a matter of thinking about what I wanted to do this turn. So let's put up a Beldum. Evolve 2 of them, obviously, because, I mean, I have the 2 Metangs in my hand. Let's go ahead and do that. And my opponent didn't trade last turn, so that tells me he has something that he likes in his hand. Let's try to stall a little bit. Let's Guzma up a Rockruff that doesn't have anything on it, meaning that my opponent will have to attach an energy in order to be able to retreat, attach a Metal Energy that turned into a Fire briefly, and just end my turn. Because what I can do this coming turn is evolve into a Metagross and then Sycamore away my hand, so that at least I have a Metagross going, and then I can potentially, like if I just draw into another Metagross, I can get another one, and then if I have a Rare Candy into a Metagross, I can get a 3rd one up. So I'm in a decent spot. My opponent cannot knock me out this turn. I mean, he still has to attach the energy to the Rockruff in order to retreat unless he has a Float Stone. But if he has a Float Stone, Lycanroc, and a DCE, or just an Energy, he can knock out my Lele with Lycanroc's GX attack. So that'd probably be the worst thing that could happen. Or he could just attach an Energy, have a Bloodthirsty Eyes, bring up my Metang with Energy, and then knock that out with Zoroark, which would also be really, really bad. Because as long as I keep my Metagross safe, like as long as I'm able to get those things going, then I'm actually in a good spot, and my opponent actually has to attach a strong Energy and discard it. That is beautiful for me. Do we see a Bloodthirsty Eyes? Because if he can Ultra Ball for that, then that would destroy me, but luckily he does just Righteous Beating. That is absolutely phenomenal, because that means my Lele takes a hit. All my Metang, Beldums are safe on the bench, and then I'm getting rid of supporters, but at this point I just gotta get going fast. I gotta go fast. So let's go ahead and evolve into Metagross, and actually, what I can do this turn, let's get another Beldum up. I think I'll be able to attack this turn, because with the single Metal Energy in the discard pile, what I can do is attach to Lele, then manually retreat out into a Metagross, and then double Geotech System. Yeah, I think I can do that. So let's go ahead and retreat into the Metagross with Energy, and then use one Geotech System and use a second one in order to be able to attack with Giga Hammer this turn. So that's going to be really, really nice for me. I mean, I could go for an Algorithm to try to get set up even better, because it didn't seem like my opponent had an N. But at the same time, it's like, well, I might as well start hitting stuff, because if he's going to target down the Lele anyway, which means I'll probably live another turn and still be able to Cynthia. Then I can Max Potion the damage off. I mean, I could have Algorithmed, but this also leaves open Dialga's GX attack, which I think could be gigantic late game. Like, if there's a game where Dialga's GX attack could come in handy, it would be this, like in a turn where I'm able to potentially knock out the Lele with Dialga's GX attack, and then get another turn and go straight into Necrozma in order to be able to knock out a Zoroark or a Lycanroc. I feel like that could be the game, so I want to save my GX attack as long as possible. My opponent does get an Ultra Ball right there. I mean, that was kind of to be expected, because, I mean, he has the Lycanroc, and it was just a matter of time before he got one. So it just is a matter of what he decides to pull up. What's he going to bring up? Is he going to just take the knockout on the Lele? If he does, then that would be nice, because that means I wasted a Bloodthirsty Eyes on a Lele. No, he brings up my Metagross. Now, this is actually okay with me, because, okay, don't get me wrong, I don't like that my Metagross has been brought active, but if I can get one of my Float Stones, then I will be able to put that on Metagross, Max Potion this thing up, because it won't have any energy on it anyway, and then retreat back into my Metagross with the Choice Band and the 3 energy in attack. So this is actually a pretty decent spot for me. Like, my opponent is going to be able to, he is going to be able to Righteous Beating me for 150 damage, which is pretty significant. But at the same time, I will be able to take out the Zoroark this coming turn with a Giga Hammer, assuming I can get the Float Stone. If not, I might just have to Algorithm at that point, because a dead turn would be absolutely devastating. And even though I said that I want to keep my GX attacks available for later in the game, I think that Algorithming, like, at least making, it won't be like a perfect turn, but it will at least be a less dead turn than it would have been. I'll at least potentially get something out of it and go from there. So yeah, my opponent gets rid of my Choice Band. That is fine with me, actually, because I put that Choice Band on there. It really doesn't impact the number. Well, I mean, it impacts whether or not I can get an Oko on Lele. But in terms of the amount of hits I need to knock out Lycanroc or Zoroark, it doesn't do much of anything. So I was trying to, like, bait him into using his Field Blowers now so that I can have my Float Stones later. And I actually top deck right into that. That is absolutely gorgeous. Like, that's nuts. Like, that's insane that I was able to do that. So let's go ahead and retreat, and then I'm going to heal up this Metagross. I could have healed up the Lele before, but I decided that Metagross is a little bit more important in this game. And wow, that's actually great. So I get another Metagross set up. I can get a couple more things in the discard pile. So let's go ahead and get rid of both my Metal Energy. I wish I could grab a... Yeah, I really wish I could grab a Metang, but unfortunately that is prized. So let's go ahead and grab a Duskmane Necrozma, play that down, and... Oh wait, whoops. Well, that was actually a pretty big misplay on my part, because now my opponent can OHKO my Metagross with his Lycanroc, so... with a GX attack from his Lycanroc, so that was a big misplay by me. But fortunately, I do draw into my Metang and my Solgaleo Prism, which means that I'm going to be able to have some moves that I can do this coming turn. Like, I will be able to end my opponent lower, which, I mean, granted, he still does have the Zoroark to deal with the... he still has it to be able to trade, to be able to not have to be as affected by my end that I'm going to be going for next turn. But this is... Man, this is getting intense. So I have 3 Metagross set up. This one is going to go down to a Dangerous Rogue GX. That was a big misplay by me. Luckily, I still have 2 Metagross in place, so I'll be able to attack at the very least if I draw into an energy. And now that my opponent is down to 3 prizes, I'm going to try to make him play the odd prize game, well, obviously. Unless, actually, I still need to play the Prism Solgaleo, because if I draw into an energy, then that will be great. Like, that will just be perfect for me, which I luckily do. And I have another Float Stone for later if I decide to do that. So let's go ahead and... Let's Geotech System, I think. Okay, so there's going to be 5 in the discard pile. I could have done all of that with Solgaleo Prism, but meh. I just wanted to get 1 energy on there, that way I can Geotech System for sure, even if I don't draw into an energy next turn. So let's get all 4 of these, and I think, honestly, just play them all onto my Ultra Necrozma. Because now that I am down on prizes, I can use its GX attack to one-shot a Zoroark or a Lycanroc without having to discard any energy, and then immediately after that, I can just knock out a Zoroark or a Lycanroc. That would be able to... Well, I can just knock out a Zoroark or a Lycanroc with my other attacks, so that's definitely what I'm going to go for. Hopefully he doesn't have any more Bloodthirsty Eyes, because if he can knock out Lele, like, Lele is just kind of a sitting duck. Like, I know he doesn't have Tapu Koko, luckily, because otherwise Tapu Koko, he'd be able to play that down, slap a DCE on it, and then it would just absolutely, like, it would get 20 damage on everything and then knock out my Lele. The fact that Lele's sitting at 150 is a very, very big deal, because otherwise he'd be able to just knock out the Metang and win the game. Like, Lele sitting there and not being knocked out yet is kind of gigantic for me. I'm wondering what my opponent's going for, because, I mean, he can attack with Lycanroc, he can attack with Zoroark. None of those are going to be able to kill Prism Solgaleo. And what I'm going to do this coming turn is probably just Float Stone up my Solgaleo, retreat into Necrozma, and go for the GX attack. Or I could attack into the... I could just use a regular attack. I mean, it would mean that I wouldn't get to use my GX attack, but then it would open up... Yeah, it would open up plays where I can... It would at least open up some Geotech System plays. So let's go ahead and attach this to Solgaleo, retreat into the Necrozma. That's 100% what I'm doing. I have a Metagross in the discard pile, which actually closes off the potential for my opponent to play just a 6-prize game. Well, I guess he still can knock out my Solgaleo Prism, but he couldn't get a cheap knockout on my Metang, so let's go ahead and play that there. And then I have an option of either going for my GX attack or Meteor Tempest. Meteor Tempest opens up Geotech System plays, like if he tries to go for... Like if he tries to Bloodthirsty Eyes up something and stall, it would have opened up plays where I can just Geotech System and attach energy. But I think... I don't know, I'm taking a gamble here. Because if he Bloodthirsty Eyes up something and stalls, then I'm in a very bad position because of the play I made. If he doesn't, then I have a Necrozma that's ready to just knock something out. Like, I have a Necrozma that's fully powered up. He can end me down to like 2, and I would still have a Necrozma that was fully powered up. Hindsight 2020, I definitely should have Meteor Tempested right there, because, I mean, due to my 3 Metagross, I would be able to attach the 3 energy that I needed to in order to be able to Meteor Tempest once again this coming turn, whether or not I drew into energy. So that was, yeah, that was a poor play on my part, because if he's able to Bloodthirsty Eyes up something, then I won't be able to Geotech System in order to retreat out of it. So definitely a mistake that I made right there, but just forcing my opponent to deal with this Necrozma, I think might be enough to win me the game. Because all I have to do is just knock out the Zoroark or the Lele, and he actually retreats straight into the Zoroark. What is he doing? He's just going to Righteous Beating me? Then I win the game. Wow, I won. I won against Zoroark Lycanroc, and my opponent... Okay, he must be doing the daily challenge, and he just wanted to get the damage off in order to complete it as best he could. And wow, he did 950 damage. We only did 580, and we were going to win the game. That is kind of awesome. Like, I mean, we would have ended up doing enough. But yeah, so that is the deck, guys. Hope you enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.